Hello. Good morning, ma'am. Sure, no problem, ma'am. I'll be here. Excuse me, ma'am. I'm going to present something. I'm going to have a slideshow. Is that all right? Can I just share it? Can I quickly check to see if it's working? Yeah. So you can see it, ma'am. Are you able to see it? Okay. Okay. So would kids interact if I ask questions? Sure. No worries. And anytime, I will wait for 5 more minutes. 1 o'clock. We'll start.
of human. Good afternoon to all. Respected Secretary, Honorable Principal, distinguished guests, beloved colleagues, and my dear students. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of the PG and Research Department of History to this webinar on techniques for creating new ideas. I am very happy to welcome our resource person, Ms. Smiley. She is the director and founder of MITH Marketing, a marketing agency based specializing in digital advertising, web designing, planning and strategy, social media management, and photo productions. She was born and raised in Thoothukudi and had global experience of working in New Zealand and Australia for about 12 years before moving back to India. She is also a photographer and very passionate about women empowerment and found an uplift crew which specializes in mental well-being and empowerment of women. She is one of the very few women drawn photographers in India. I wholeheartedly welcome you, ma'am. Finally, I welcome all the participants for this innovative program. Once again, I welcome you all.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Can I start it now? Yes. Okay. Oh, thank you. I'm very, very happy to be here. I'm excited about all the ideas we're going to be discussing in the next 1 hour. Am I audible? Am I clear? And for the presentation, are you able to see the first slide, ma'am? So as I move the slide, can you see it moving as well? Okay, perfect. Okay, that's great. So I see that there are about 85 people in this call today. Hello to every one of you. I'm so glad to be here to be talking to you about everything. The most important thing, that's ideas, because the world operates just on ideas. So before we start and dive into ideas, I want to introduce myself a little bit. Ma'am did a huge introduction. So I'm a photographer. I do marketing. I also am a women empowerment speaker. But most importantly, I like to think of myself as idea money. I don't know how many of you have seen the movie My Dear Marthandram, which is like a age-old movie in which the comedian Countermoney calls himself Idea Money because he keeps coming up with ideas. And I think that is such an important thing. I know it's made for humor, but I think everyday life we need ideas, because ideas is how we progress in this world. Ideas is how we've evolved as human beings in this world. So everything, absolutely anything that we want to do in life starts with a simple idea. And some of the ideas, the best ideas in the world, have changed the world, the way the world operates. First, I'm going to dive into what ideas change the world so that we know how important ideas are. The first idea I'm going to talk about is farming. So before farming was invented, the entire world, we were all hunter-gatherers, which means we were roaming from one place to another, gathering fruits and vegetables and, killing animal and eating it as we go. We never stayed in one particular place. Only after farming was formed, we were able to stay in a place because it gave enough food for us in one particular place. We didn't have to move. So only because of farming, the entire world has shifted towards the way we are right now in countries and in civilization. So farming was an idea that changed the world. The next idea that changed the world, I would say, is vaccination. Currently with COVID and how everybody's talking about vaccines, but then vaccination was invented several years ago. And because of vaccination, the lifespan of every human has increased so drastically. Before we had vaccination, our immune system was very, very bad. Now, as soon as a child is born, they are like, you have to do polio vaccination, you have to do smallpox vaccination. These things have changed the lifespan of a human. And so this was definitely an idea that changed the world as well. Then another idea that changed the world I want to talk about is internet. Internet is why we are all here doing this meeting. Before internet, we didn't have everything at our fingertip. We really didn't. I mean, if you want to get an answer to anything, you want to know who Steve Jobs is or who Mark Zuckerberg is. Now, all you have to do is go on Google, type it, and the information comes on. Before internet, people had to like buy books or go to libraries. It was such a different life. And before internet, something like a virtual classes that we all have right now was never possible. So the internet has changed the way we live life. We do online shopping, we do banking online, we do buying shares online, we do everything that's possibly, except for spending real time with each other. I think everything else is done online these days, and this was only possible because of internet, which also got sparked with the little idea. So that is something else that changed the world. Another thing that changed the world is gravity. I'm sure most of you know how Sir Isaac Newton invented uh, gravity when one apple fell on his head, and immediately realized that, why is an apple falling down? And it's because of gravity. It seems like a very easy, simple science concept. Obviously, things are attracted to Earth because of gravity. But what the finding of gravity allowed for us was space travel. How space satellites are revolving around, Earth, revolving around Moon, how everything works. And even because of gravity is how the space first astronauts landed in Moon. So it was a big, big leap for mankind itself, having found gravity. Something as simple as that, an idea of Newton sitting under a tree and just, having an apple drop on him, pretty much changed the course of human life. Another idea that changed our lives is a wheel. Again, wheel was found centuries ago. First, we've used the wheel for pottery, but then eventually the humankind, our ancestors, realized that they could attach the wheel to carts and actually move stuff or transport ourselves. And that is the invention that changed again and changed mankind's course, because we found cars and trains, and also now we are at aircrafts, which was an eventual progress, but it all started only because of the invention of a wheel, which was an idea that somebody had, that they could actually use the wheel to move things. So these are some of the greatest inventions. Now we are going to do a little exercise before we dive in. I do hope that I'll have students answering and contributing. You can unmute yourself, and it's going to be a simple, fun exercise so that we have our ideas all prompt and we can have it flowing today. So this exercise is called alternate uses. So, for example, if you take a paper clip, the use of a paper clip is to hold papers together, but alternate uses can be to use it as a bookmark. We can use it as a safety pin sometimes if you want to hold something. So I'm going to say an object, and I want students to come up with alternate uses. So that we'll see how ideas are coming out of all the students, how you're all young and thriving, so I'm sure you'll have a lot of ideas, but I do want to hear ideas from all of you. So you can also type on chat. If you don't want to unmute and talk, which I most welcome you to, you can type on chats as well. So the item that I'm going to give you, the object, is a brick. So what are some of the uses or alternate uses you can think for a brick? Can I have some volunteers? Anyone want to say what you could use a brick for? You can type it in the chat as well if you want. Anyone? So we use brick to build houses. That is the use. What else can we use brick for? We can use it as a weapon. We can throw it at people. But any other creative answers? House building. We have Selva Suganti saying house building. Yes, fantastic. We can use it for building. We can use it for house. Thank you. Anyone else? Can unmute and talk as well. Any of the teachers want to jump in, you're most welcome to as well, not just the students. Beautify the gardens. Yes, thank you, Mercy Glory, who said beautify the gardens. It's great as decorative items. We can color it or, use it to put it there. It gives a very good feel to it. Yes, that's a beautiful, creative, alternate thinking. We can use it as a paperweight. You can put it on paper. So, it holds things together. It's quite heavy is something I'm thinking. And anything else? Any other uses anyone can think of? Okay. Sure. So this is something that you could do always to come up with ideas. Like if you're feeling like a creative block, you're like, I'm not able to think much. You can always think about alternative uses of something that kind of really gets you a little bit more creative. Big creative people use this when they feel like, they're not able to think properly. They're like, move your mind to something else, come up with ideas. It kind of keeps your brain running. We have Selva Suganti again saying, orthopedic treatment. Yes, I've heard they use it for that. Thank you. That is a very, very clever, intelligent reply. So that was great. So this is a little exercise that, you could sit with your friends and think of an object, could be a chair, and, think of ideas on how you can use it differently. Kind of gives you a little bit of creative outlet, like, get your brain like running, fired up. So now we are going to dive in now to what are some of the techniques we can use for creative thinking. And for the first technique, I'm going to say the art of thinking backwards. So the art of thinking backwards is how, you start, instead of starting with from here to there, you kind of start thinking backwards. So we all have goals. And for the goal to find ideas, you have to like take the goal down and then break it down and come quite small steps backwards. This is sort of like something that we do everyday life. Like we don't get in an auto and think where we want to go. We always know where we want to go. And then we get in the auto and we tell the auto man, oh, I want to go to this location. So essentially we know the location and then we take the steps to actually get there. Similarly, how this art of thinking backwards or reverse thinking works is, say your goal in life is to become work at a bank or have a certain savings. You take that as the goal. It's a 10-year goal. Then you slowly come backwards and see what should you have done in 5 years to reach the 10-year goal. And then you come backwards again and see in 3 years what you need to do, or in 2 years what you need to do, or in a year's time what you should have achieved to reach that 10 years. So it's sort of like taking a goal and then working backwards. Now, this can also work in ideas when you want little things where, say, you want to start a business. So what business do you want? So using the business as the goal, you kind of work backwards on. So if you want to run this business, you probably want some fund, or you want some talent, some skills. So what talents and skills do you need to know to run the business? So working backwards, or as we say it, reverse thinking, always helps you know what steps you need to take to reach the goal or the destination for the project. So definitely reverse thinking is a very, very important skill to have. The next one is brainstorming. Brainstorming, what is brainstorming? Brainstorming is essentially a lot of us getting together and thinking and discussing ideas together. So the advantage to brainstorming is when we brainstorm, we might have missed certain points. We might have missed certain weaknesses to our plan, and somebody else might have a better idea to brainstorm. Say I want to say, for example, I'm going to take a scenario here. Say I want to start a candy shop in Thoothukudi. So if I want to start a candy shop, if I want to start a candy shop, having somebody. So if I want to start a candy shop, there was a disturbance. So if I want to start a candy shop or a few candy shops around Thoothukudi, if you're going to, let's all brainstorm together. I want you all to give me ideas as well. So I'm thinking, who likes candy? And I say children like candy. So then now we will have so many different people from a certain team who live in different parts of Thoothukudi, who probably know where children mostly are, like where schools are. So I say, well, we can start a candy shop near Subhya Vidyalayam or near Holy Cross, or each one of these schools. And someone might know, oh, this location is more crowded, so this will have good sales. Someone else might say, don't start a candy shop there because that road is a one-way street and people cannot park and come into the candy store. So when we brainstorm together, we have different people contributing their ideas and their skills to us. So it's not just one person thinking in a very unilateral way, like, oh, this is what I want to do. It's like having people come in and throw in their own skills, knowledge, and ability. Always remember, many brains and many people working always makes it great. So if you want to have ideas flowing, one other thing to do is sit with a group of people and talk about the ideas. Say, I want to do this, and then have your friends or your colleagues or your classmates always question and throw in their own ideas, because how we all learn is through each other, and brainstorming kind of helps create a very wholesome ideas about everything that we want. So brainstorming is a very, very good technique to use when you want to come up with more ideas. The next technique is mind mapping. Anyone here knows what mind mapping is? Anybody? Okay. So mind mapping essentially means sometimes we have lots of thoughts about a certain thing that's running in our head. And so how do you get and organize your thoughts? It's very easy when it's in your head, but sometimes you have to put it somewhere and map it to understand what each of your idea means or how you could work on each of the ideas. So mind mapping is essentially taking a plain chart paper and writing all the thoughts or everything that you have in mind. So say your mind map can look something like this. So you have a particular idea, you write it as first idea, and then what are the things about the first idea do you have? Now we spoke about the candy shop, so I'm going to stick to that idea, but doesn't have to be about a shop or a business, but that is something I'm using for example. So I'm going to write first idea is starting candy shops, little shops around Thoothukudi. So what are the challenges that I might have? I might have paying rent, which might be expensive, or I might have challenges like maybe like times like COVID, students might not come to school is one thing. But then the second idea can be I can have little carts, those little talluvandi kadas that they have. Maybe if I have that, near schools, instead of actually selling candy at the store, I won't have rent, and I can move this to anywhere I want to go. So I can push the cart and I can sell it anywhere. So which might be a better idea. So this can be my second idea. The advantage of this is, no rent, but the disadvantage of this is I might not be able to store enough candy, and this candy is outside. So if it rains or if it's too hot, what happens to the candy is another thing that I have to worry. So mind map essentially helps you identify all the ideas that comes to your head, and also all the sub ideas within the ideas that comes. The advantages or the benefits of a mind map is it helps you generate more ideas. So once you start thinking and writing it as a map, you think of more ideas. It also saves time because you're writing it down right away. So you're not going to keep thinking it again and again and forgetting parts of it. It's easy to recollect information, as I mentioned. It also aids with brainstorming. We already learned what brainstorming is. So with mind mapping, you have a map right in front of you. So you can have anyone look at it and, you can brainstorm with the person easily. Mind map is quite like a graph, which means you don't have to write essays. It's just little pointers that you're writing down. So less writing for sure. It also creates link between ideas and concepts. So initially the idea was for me to start a business, and the concept from, initially I said, oh, I want to start stores, and then I went to carts. So it helps you create different concepts within the idea itself. And it also helps, like when you want to go present an idea to someone, like a plan, if you have it on as a mind map, you can go present it and say, these are all my thought process. I thought of this, and I thought, the candy shop will feel like this. It's easier to explain it when you want to present it to someone. So these are some of the advantages. With the mind map, we are now going to something that is very, very interesting: intentional conflict. So what is intentional conflict? First, I want to say conflict. Conflict is two people conflicting, fighting in a way, like, arguing can be considered as a conflict. What is intentional conflict is having a friend or a colleague or someone actually create a conflict with what you want to have an idea. Usually we want ideas for a problem. So you put your problem out there, or your idea, something that you thought out there, and ask them to question it. Ask them to give a different perspective to it. Ask them to say, oh, so you want to start a candy shop. What if, the candy shop, what if COVID time the shop closes? So they keep questioning you, which makes you think more. So they say, what if you can't be there all the time? Then you think, oh, I can hire someone to fill in when I'm not there. So intentional conflict is someone actually arguing with you about all the flaws in your plan itself. So it gives you different perspectives. It points out all the flaws in your plan, your ideas. So intentional conflict is really good, because every time there is a conflict, as humans, when we fight, we have emotions that come. We have reactions, and these emotions kind of create like thinking very fast. Where every time we feel emotional, we have things happening in our head all the time. We're thinking, and a lot of thoughts flow. So creating conflicts, like intentional conflicts, means it triggers a lot of thoughts, and with thoughts comes new ideas, new perspectives. So I would recommend intentional conflict for ideas, but always remember, this is for thinking. So after that, remember to know that this was just sort of like a game to get more ideas, and stay calm after that. So for the fifth, so we have seven ideas, techniques that we're going to learn today, but we are at 4. We're going to go to the 5th now. 5th is social listening. So everything that we know today, everything that knowledge that we've gained, is because we listen. Even as little babies, when they say, when you were first taught, oh, this is your mother, this is your father, the way we learned was because we paid attention and we listened. That's the way as humans we learn. That's the way as humans we evolve. That's the way we come up with ideas. So it's very important to keep listening. Listening to people, talking to people. As we talk to more different people, the more ideas and the more our brain understands a lot of stuff. The way our brain always works is when it gets the new information, it always puts the information in and tries to link it to all the existing information in our head already. So when you talk to new people, there are so many more new information that you'll keep adding to your existing ideas. But not just listening. By social listening, it also means that you can run surveys online, because we live in a virtual world with social media and everything. You can always run polls, you can run surveys. So if you want to, for example, start a candy shop, you can go talk to say 20 kids that ask them, what kind of candy do you like, and ask their parents, how much money would you spend on buying candy? So when you ask for information, when you listen to people, and people will be like, oh no, I don't like eating too much candy because I get decayed tooth. So you get more perspective. So you can say, oh, you can look into making sugarless candy. So the more we listen, the more our ideas get more attuned, ideas get more refined, ideas get a lot molded. So listening is the key to becoming a more successful person, because listening is how we learn, and listening is how we acquire knowledge. So for sure, this is also a very, very important skill. So far, we've learned reverse thinking. We've discussed about brainstorming. Third, we discussed about mind mapping. Fourth, we dived into intentional conflict. Now we've done social listening. The next one is journaling, aka brain writing. So I don't know how many of you journal here. How many of you write diaries or write down your thoughts in notes? How many of you write diary every day or journal once in a while? I'll put it in the chat window. Say yes if you do journal. Anyone that journals, write diaries, write down your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. So journaling is very, 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 very important. It's also a very efficient tool when it comes to organizing your ideas. We discussed mind mapping. Mind mapping is more about drawing ideas, but journaling or brain writing is you don't start with any particular agenda. So say I'm like, I want to talk about, because you stuck to the example of candy shop, I'm going to stick to that. Say I just start writing about it. Anything that comes to your mind in a free flowing way. That's what journaling is. Journaling is not putting pointers. Journaling is writing everything that comes to your mind. So brain writing is similarly like that. So all you have to do is be like, so I want to start a candy store. And so to start a candy store, I need to, what do I need? I think my challenges would be having enough locations, or my challenges would be having capital, a fund to start it. So you write anything that you have, like, whatever comes to your mind, just keep writing that. And so as you write it, you will see that you have a pattern to what you write. There will be information you will understand about it, because sometimes it's much more clearer when you write it down. It's on paper and it's written down in front of you. So I would recommend journaling as well. Journaling not just for in a business way. Journaling for personal life is also very good. When you feel confused, when you feel a little like, oh, I'm feeling a little down or not feeling great, it's always great to sit down and journal, like write your thoughts. It always helps you organize and understand what you're thinking a little bit more better. It gives you more clarity. So I would definitely recommend journaling. And so after journaling, we're moving to one of my very, very favorite method, which is called the 5W plus H method. So what is the 5W plus H method? So the 5 W's are why, when, who, where, and what. They are the 5 W's. And the H is how. So the 5 W's in H method can be used to challenge any problems. It's sort of like questioning. So for example, we talked about, say, starting a candy shop. So I'm going to stick to that example. Why do we need to do it? Then you write your objective of the project. The objective is, I want to do it because I want to have a business. Could it be avoided? I think it could be. Could some of it left out? Maybe to start with, I can start with a small shop instead of going too big. So when you start answering these questions, you actually start seeing what your vision for this is, what challenges you will face, and more perspective is what you would gain as you start questioning. So the 5W and H method is essentially questioning the ideas. It's sort of like the more you keep questioning, why are you doing it? How are you doing it? What are the challenges? Where